This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. The one, the only, Corey Perlman, Impact Social Media. Great to have you on.
Thank you for having me, David. I really appreciate it. It's great to be able to connect with you and your high-level clients that you've told me so many awesome things about. So hello to everyone out there.
Yes. Now, I'm going to jump right into the deep end of the pool because you are a social media expert, you are a social media consultant, you are a social media speaker, and you run a social media agency. Consultants, trainers, independent professionals, financial advisors, insurance agents, real estate people, they all waste a tremendous amount of time on social media. Not that social media is a waste of time, but they're doing it wrong. So when a client comes to you, any kind of professional services client, consulting firm, accounting firm, real estate, training company, whoever they may be, give me a quick assessment or an audit of the typical things they're doing wrong and some of the typical things that they might be doing right, but not quite optimized.
The number one thing I typically see, especially for, someone who's trying to drive a personal brand and may not have, a huge team to be able to do a lot of this stuff for them, is that they try to be all things to all people. They try to be on all sites instead of doing a few and doing them really well. So the biggest mistake I typically see is someone tries to be a jack of all social media sites, master of none. My recommendation is to focus on a few and do them really well, and specifically find the sites where your customer base or client base is active on. So for example, if your customer base happen to be ages, 13 to 26, then TikTok and Snapchat may be the places to be. If your client base happens to be 40 and above, then Facebook/LinkedIn might be the places to be. And if you're C-level executives, or a higher level position type focus, then obviously LinkedIn is a great platform for you. So that's definitely one thing that we look for, is to see what profiles they're on and if they're actively managing those profiles. Because one thing that can diminish credibility very quickly, David, is if we see social media sites that folks are on and they're not active on. So it might be a LinkedIn profile that has 5 connections or even 105 connections, and they're not updating it on a consistent basis. Or maybe an intern created a Snapchat channel for them, or even a YouTube channel, and they're not doing anything on it. It's just collecting dust. It's doing them more harm than good. The other thing that we look for when we do an audit, David, is just, besides the platforms, whether or not the content is engaging or not. So are they telling their story? Are they being authentic, transparent on their social media? Are they, delivering value like you do so well on your social media? Or are they just phoning it in? And that's a big one too. A lot of times we'll go to their Facebook and you can just see it's regurgitated content. And they're just phoning it in. And what I like to see, especially with solopreneurs or small business owners or executives, I like to see them. I like to see an authentic side of them, whether that be video or just general posts of seeing what's going on in your brain and putting that out there. So those are the two things I would say: a general social media audit, and then looking at their content and seeing if it's compelling.
Yeah, totally. The other thing, let's even dig into one of these platforms, one or two. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's LinkedIn. Let's talk about how to go fishing, because I know one of the things that you teach and you preach and that you believe in is you got to fish where the fish are. And that's kind of a central principle and a central theme that you always help your clients with. Are we talking about hashtags? Are we talking about Facebook groups? Are we talking about using hashtags on LinkedIn? Or talk a little bit about some of these literally fishing strategies on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn that you can start to dial in. Where are my prospects living? Where are my prospects online? Where are my prospects paying attention? What channels, what hashtags, what threads should I be attuned to?
If I told you that my computer is literally living on a bait bucket right now, it would tell you how much I enjoy fishing and the metaphor that you use for fish where the fish are. So I won't show you, but it is indeed on a bait bucket. So I appreciate you asking that question. And a couple of things. Yes, hashtags are absolutely important, but that's not where I would go with this answer. What I've been talking to a lot of folks that I feel like are listening to us right now, Newman, are wondering what to do maybe in the next couple of months here to drive new revenue is creating a most wanted list. So as opposed to going out on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's a perfect platform for this, and just posting stuff and hoping that the right people hear it. What I suggest folks do is to create a most wanted list, companies, executives, positions that we want. So right now in COVID, I don't know when you're listening to this, but this is an uncertain time that we're in. Some industries have a lot of business going on right now, and some are completely dead in the water. So what we have to do, this is a great example of fishing where the fish are, right? So not only fishing where fish are active, but that they're actually eating, meaning that they're buying business from us or just buying in general. So looking for industries that are active or hot right now. One example might be outdoor equipment and such as pools, spas, fishing equipment. They're all going bananas right now because everybody's at home. So creating that most wanted list, both from an industry perspective and a company perspective, and then even maybe an individual perspective, meaning it might be in charge of human resources. They might be the CFO, depending upon your business. And then creating a plan at targeting those folks. So an example might be, let's just say that the industry is, high level executives at Fortune 500 insurance companies, because insurance is going pretty crazy right now too. So I would go out on LinkedIn and I'd create a strategy on engaging those individuals. The first thing I would do is try to connect within that industry that I actually do know. So there are people right now within the insurance industry, both you and me, David, who we know that we're not connected to on LinkedIn. Very unlikely that they're going to engage with us if we're not even connected to them. So by creating that most wanted list, the first step is for people to broaden their connections on LinkedIn with individuals that they can potentially do business with. And then you start taking it to the next level, which might be a direct mail to them. It might be, a message where you might, tag a few companies. You might shoot a video and mention a couple of companies that, in a good way or something to that effect to try to engage them. But as opposed to waiting for people to come to us, my suggestion right now is to create that most wanted list and go after them on tools like LinkedIn. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a ton of sense. Now, LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn especially, but if Facebook Messenger and all these
Yeah.
different platforms, they're famous for, hey, let's connect. The prospect, the poor prospect, unsuspecting, connects, and then it's immediately, hey, here's what I do. Buy my stuff, buy my stuff. And we go into hardcore sales mode immediately upon them accepting our connection. That clearly is not the path to success. That's not what you're teaching your clients and your students. What is a genuine door opening, relationship building strategy look like? And again, let's stick with LinkedIn because I love this, that we're going after, highly placed executives in the Fortune 500 insurance companies. Hey, Corey, this is awesome. I found 24 of them. I've got 24 of the exact people I want. They're at New York Life, they're at State Farm, they're at MetLife, they're at Geico. What do I do with them? Let's say we do the connection request, which we should always customize. Let's even talk about that. So what's your connection request? And then what's the dialogue start to sound like after the connection?
Because I'm such a not a fan of the cold email and such. And I would almost wager a guess that you and I are a little bit on different spectrums on this. Not saying that we don't disagree that aggressively selling on LinkedIn is the wrong approach, but I'm just not a fan of anything cold, if possible. Of course, some might say, hey, sometimes you got to go cold. So what I'm hoping that we can do in these situations is to connect with individuals at those companies that you mentioned that already love us. Saw you speak a few years ago, Newman, worked with you at one point, who would go to the end of the earth. I mean, there's so many Newman fans out there, and I'm not tooting your own horn. There really are. So those are the people first. And to have them say, hey, Stephanie at Geico in a different department, this guy Newman's the real deal. To be able to facilitate those relationships is what I'm after. So the first part is to connect with the people that love us. And then the second part is to ask those people who love us for warm introductions to the prospects that we're after. And so everything I just said there has nothing to do with cold.
Hey, good looking. Are you currently getting paid to speak? Would you like to ramp that up? We can help. Book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team at doitmarketing.com/call, and let's see what we might do together. The call is free, but the results may be priceless. I have to give you a ton of credit because there's a whole bunch of LinkedIn people out there that are like LinkedIn experts and that all they do is LinkedIn. And you, of course, do a whole spectrum of social media. None of them are talking about this. The original intent of LinkedIn was not you to connect to strangers. It was never about you connecting to strangers. It was about you connecting with people who you already have a relationship with. And then LinkedIn means you are linking into their network. So the intent, the original intent, the reason LinkedIn was created 17, 18 years ago is to do the Corey Perlman strategy and not the cold messaging, the spamming, the bulk, none of that. So walk through how you recommend people do this. So let's say you're browsing my connections or I'm browsing your connections. I find a couple of juicy people because I'm searching, for certain criteria. And I go, oh, here's a person who's 1 degree away from me. Who's our common connection? My good buddy, Corey Perlman. Take us through the dialogue from there.
Yeah, and I'll even take it, if it's okay, just like there's nothing better than a quick personal anecdote in this area. And, both of us are speakers, Newman. And so anytime a lead comes in for me, or even if I'm shopping for a lead, so let's say I want to speak at ABC company in Canada, I always go to LinkedIn and search that company looking for that mutual connection. Now, taking a step back for a second, you can't have that mutual connection if you haven't done what we're talking about before. So my job in step 1 is to go to my LinkedIn. And if you ask me, Corey, how many people on this earth who respect and value you as a social media speaker are you connected with on LinkedIn? I want that answer to be in the high 80s and 90s. And if it's not, then we have to go back to step 1 and keep connecting, right? Step 2 is that anytime we're prospecting, to go out to LinkedIn and look at those prospects that we don't know and look for that mutual connection, that magic number 2. Anytime you see that number 2, it means that the company that I'm looking to speak for, the guy or gal there who I am wanting to work with, has a mutual connection with me. And my hope is that that mutual connection is somebody like David, who I could say, Newman, it's Perlman. I see you're connected with Stacy at Canada Association of Executives. How do you know them? And can you team me up? Corey, I know him really well. I spoke with him last year. I got your back. 2 seconds later, there's an email, or you can do it through LinkedIn. People get bogged down in the, how do I do it? Don't worry about that. Just get the intro. I don't care if it's over email. I don't care if it's phone. I don't care if it's LinkedIn. But get the Newman to warm up the connection from Corey to Stacy, and the job's been done. It's hard for even me to screw that up after a Newman intro. Nice. So that's the strategy, like you said, that LinkedIn was born to do for us and this is the most important thing for people to recognize. This is the big shift. The power of LinkedIn is not your network. That's step 1, but it's your network's network. So it's the people that they know that you're looking to get to. So every time we get one of those in messages, David, hey, my name's Mark. By the way, I got this program, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I've never seen that work. God willing, if it does, good for you all. It's never worked for me, and it won't ever work on the receiving end. However, if I get something from Newman or from my friend Ross or Stacy or Mark, my circle, and they say, hey, I know you've been looking for a social media intern or social media, salesperson. This woman rocks, Corey, rocks. Yeah, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to have a conversation with her. That's what it's all about.
Introductions and personal relationships. What a shock.
It's huge. It's huge. And I will just tell you, David, been doing this for, 12 years maybe. I wish I had one of those big tote boards behind me that was racking up all of the revenue dollars that were made by this strategy. It would be in the millions. And I swear to you that is not I'm not blowing smoke. I love hearing the deals that have been made, the giant deals that started with an intro from a Newman who loved a Perlman that went to Stacy.
You know what this also reminds me of? It's from the old days of networking, like the Stone Age, 1990s. There was a book that came out, and the book was called Net Weaving. Not networking, but net weaving. And the principle there, this is even before LinkedIn ever existed. The principle is exactly what you're saying, Corey. It's not about your network. It's about your network's networks. and that your job in net weaving is not for you to go out and get business and shove your business card in all these people's hands. It's for you to become a matchmaker and for you to start building networks that, oh, you know what? My friend Corey needs to meet my friend Susan. And my friend Fred over here also needs to meet Susan. And it wouldn't hurt if Fred met Corey either, because it's not that they're going to do business with each other. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's not why. Because they can help each other. They can brainstorm. They can share their networks between each other. They're in similar industries, whatever it is. This net weaving concept taken online with the force multiplier that LinkedIn really can be is huge. Now, I have another strategic, maybe tactical thing people can do right now. I thought of this while you were talking because I've never done this. Would it make sense if we have an email list of subscribers? The people who obviously are subscribing to you, are paying attention to you, they're giving you the love, they're giving you the respect of having you in their inbox every so often. Could we send an email to our subscribers, simple 3-line email? Hey, by the way, are we connected on LinkedIn yet? Feel free to link up with me. Here's my profile. I would love to get to know you better. Boom, send that email. I don't care if you have 300 names on your email list or 30,000 names on your email list. Would it make sense to convert our email list into some new LinkedIn connections?
Yeah, 100%. And you could even reverse that if you wanted to, going back to our most wanted list. And I might go into my email list and look at all the different names on there and go through a most wanted in my email. And instead of asking for them to LinkedIn with me, I'll LinkedIn with them, right? And say, hey, Marcy, I saw that you were, we obviously been on my email list for a little while and I can't believe we're not connected on LinkedIn. Let's change that, and do it that way. So don't disagree with your strategy there at all of hitting the many, but I would also filter through your connections, especially if we are all looking for creative ways to create revenue right now. This is that opportunity.
So brilliant. I mean, this is another ninja underused strategy, right? Go into whatever email software you use, right? MailChimp, Constant Contact, Aweber, whatever you have going on. Look at your subscriber list. Look for names that you recognize. Oh, Jerry. Oh my God, I haven't talked to Jerry. And I owe Jerry a phone call. I love the project we did with Jerry. Or even look for domains. If you see someone from us.ibm.com, that's IBM's US email address extension, you're like, wait a minute, someone from IBM is on my email list and I don't know about it. I forgot about it, right? So you say, hey, Barbara at us.ibm.com, I see that you're a subscriber. I'm surprised that we're not connected here on LinkedIn. Let me put my LinkedIn network at your disposal. If there's someone to whom you'd like a personal introduction, just let me know.
Yes.
Now you're giving, you're not taking, you're giving in that invitation. And it's like, I didn't even know that I knew somebody at IBM.
And the second layer, David, and this can go, by the way, across platforms. If you say, gosh, guys, you're talking about LinkedIn, but I'm more of an Instagram or Facebook, it's fine. It's also about, when you talk about reaching people, of really trying to figure out what they are needing at the moment. So just to give you a quick example of that, we work with a lot of Dale Carnegie clients, and we've been talking to them a lot about topics and such that C-level and individuals really need right now. And things like managing teams virtually or helping leaders through challenging times. These are things that resonate, or we hope that resonate now, versus the same old that they might do normally, sales training or leadership training, and making it more generic, but really trying to just find those unique areas. So beyond connecting to that most wanted list I was talking about, maybe shooting a video that talks about a program or solution or whatever the case may be that you are offering that is needed now. That's going to help move the needle and get somebody to pick up the phone, shoot the email, do the form, whatever the case may be. But really think about the topics. You and I are talking in September right now. This might be in October when somebody sees it, November. We're 6 months into COVID. By that point, you'll be 8 months in. Are we out of it? Are we circling back to another thing? One of the things that a lot of my clients right now are thinking about is we're in a window right now. There's a lot of doctors and lawyers and accountants that are back to work in a distance kind of way. We don't know what winter is going to look like. we may have to shut the doors again. So what they're talking about now is let's do business now. Don't wait on that doctor's appointment. Don't wait on your accounting appointment or whatever the case may be. This is the window, really kind of let people know that we don't know what the future holds. So those are some thoughts in terms of, how to drive content or what to post.
What a great episode. Wowza. Tell you what, if you want to ramp up your revenue as an expert who speaks professionally, you should really check out our free online training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. What do you see? Because I think this ties a whole bunch of things together, right? Personal brand, videos about personal brand, content, relevance, and most wanted list. Speaking your ideal prospect's language in a 60-second, 90-second video. How do we start thinking about that content? What do we need to optimize or hashtags, or give us all the whole schmeggity on the live streaming ninja moves that you're teaching your clients?
You asked that at a perfect time because we've decided and this might be helpful for some of the folks that are listening to or watching. We've decided to categorize our content from month to month to month, as opposed to just every week do something different. So the whole month of September is video. I've been thinking a lot about this, just did our e-tip today. And so I'll take you all through kind of the 3 or 4 things that we talked about this month, and includes live versus pre-recorded. One is just simply that video is huge, and you should be doubling down on it almost no matter what industry that you're in. The reason that is almost all of the social networks are doubling down on it themselves. They all have live components. The studies clearly indicate that when videos go out, the algorithms shoot up in terms of showing that content over pictures and written content. So video's here to stay, and it's very powerful. The other thing that I think is so key about video, and just to motivate folks a little bit, is the passion that we're sharing just even now. You can just tell this wouldn't happen on something written. Sorry, it's not going to be the same. When I'm talking about the number 2s on LinkedIn, and I get all excited about it, my voice cracks because I can't, help but get excited about it. That doesn't come through over written text or an image. So video shows your passion, it shows your enthusiasm, and it shows your context to the content, which I think is extremely important. So that was all about motivating you to do video. And then pre-recorded versus live, there are definitely pluses and minuses to both, so it's not an or, it's an and. I would say that live lends itself to like a weekly episodic type of thing that you can build an audience to. David's really good at that. You've done a lot of those in your history. You see a lot of people out there, hey, next week we're going to be talking about blank. Last week we talked about this, and kind of doing it almost as a show format. That works great for live. So does like impromptu videos. I have a lot of automobile clients. I have a lot of travel clients. So they might be at a certain location, on location. That works great for live. Pre-recorded is something that is better if you need editing. If you want something to be crisp, you want subtitles, you want some, overlays of text, things of that nature, that lends itself to pre-recorded. So it really depends upon the type of video you're doing, but you should do video. And the last thing I'll say, and what we talked about this week, was turning it into action. And so one of the things that I highly recommend is getting yourself a tripod for your phone. It enables you not to have to hold it or have somebody else hold it. A lot of times people struggle with video because they have other people around and they're nervous about it. So if that's you, get a tripod, be in your own room, shoot it 1,000 times until you get it right. Who cares? But once you get it right and you feel good about it, then you're going to feel better about it, posting it and getting it out there. So I can share a link if we have notes or something, David, and you can too, of ones that we recommend. Having good microphones, good lighting, all examples there. And then do it. And what I mean by that is a couple of quick actions that you could do right away. For some of you that are entering back into business and are kind of pushing back into business due to COVID, that's a great video. We have a lot of clients right now who are shooting videos saying, hey, we're back, but let me tell you how we're back. And this is how we're serving you now in light of COVID. So that's one video, something you could do right away or as time goes on. And then another thing you can think about doing, especially since we all have a little bit more time on our hands, is to create that video series. Once a week, create content. It could be an interview format like we're doing now, or it could be you and a colleague over Zoom, or it could just be you. But the key is to share information that is compelling to your audience and think about frequently asked questions. What are common questions that you're always getting that you can answer? That's the content that you need to use. So if it's insurance, what are people thinking about right now when it comes to insurance due to COVID? Those are the kind of things you want to talk about.
How long should these videos be? And what are some of your favorite video tools? Use StreamYard or some other things. Give us kind of the length, the duration, and maybe a couple of tech platforms that you like.
Yeah, I like what you said about if it's not live, 60 to 90 seconds. We're in the ADD generation, people are on the go, so the quicker the better. When you are live, I will say it kind of flips though. And David, you know this real well. It takes a little time to generate an audience through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Instagram, through YouTube. So you kind of want to be on 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes if you've got that kind of content. People always ask me, should I script it, all that? I would say definitely not. What I would do is have topics in front of you. So just a list of topics. So, I did this one. So, okay, now we're on to this one and blah, 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 blah. And then hopefully you can learn how to interact with people on there. David and I have done things together where we have comments come in and we'll even bring guests on. StreamYard is the tool that David likes. I like it as well. It's a great platform to do interviews like this. One of the tools that I love for using my phone and getting subtitles very quickly is a tool called Clips. It's for iPhone. It's an app and it's called Clips. And literally as you talk, it will transcribe the words below your screen for you. And then you can go into that script that they've created and change the words that it said wrong. So sometimes I say LinkedIn and they think I said Lincoln. So I can go in there and change it to LinkedIn and then I can post it and I've got all the transcription or subtitles below. I love that as well. So those are two off the top of my head.
I like it. By the way, Lincoln was a great networker.
He was a great networker, yes.
He just knew everybody. He knew everybody. Everybody knew him.
Yes. And I will finish real quick. That kind of ties it back of just saying real quick. You had mentioned that book and what did you call it? Net weaving. I would say that the biggest and most powerful social media strategies that have lasted the test of time have not been new. They've been things that we've done many, 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 many years ago, decades ago. They've just been done in a different way. And you nailed it right on the head with that one. That LinkedIn strategy that we talked about in the beginning is nothing new. It's building relationships and it's getting people to refer us. But gosh, they have made it so much more efficient and easy for us. Thank goodness that they've done that. With all the news right now happening, David, I mentioned with this documentary that's out called The Social Dilemma of all the negativity around social media, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot of bad things, but there are a lot of good things too, a lot of great things. And some of the things that we talked about today, the ways that we can do business, thank goodness, in the light of COVID and being behind our computer screens for who knows how long to come, we have the opportunity to still be able to engage and build relationships online. That's really powerful.
Amen, my brother. Now you have a special gift. It is bourbon and best practices. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I created this sort of unique bonus for folks because it's a unique relationship that I have with David. David's one of my best buds, and we both have a passion for marketing, for business, but also for bourbon. So I wanted to offer everybody, a list of best practices that are in here, as well as a couple of other things that we haven't spoken on and maybe more specifics. And in each of those best practices, also recommend a great bourbon to try. So that's what the bonus is.
I love it. All right, Corey Perlman, you are the man. I appreciate you, my brother.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for allowing us to spend some time together. And again, this is I am in the elements right now because we are on a little bit of a hiatus, but I appreciate you, David, for giving me the opportunity to say hello to your group. So thanks.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.